Welcome everyone to the CFO Swinger Watch Report technical analysis video for the trading week of April 28th through May 2nd. Now, the following research in each and every single weekly report is a chance at applying your own learn and earn trading system. On top of that, the combination of the weekly report and this technical analysis video will give you a complete top-down analysis on the overall markets and individual trade ideas. Overall, every report will be giving you full guidance and navigation in the upcoming trading week, allowing you to cut down on the extensive research time that is usually needed to achieve a very successful trading week. So, make sure to join us if that is something that truly aligns to your trading goals. Take a look down below at the description box to start that trading journey with us. With that, let's get into the markets. So I'm going to keep this very short and sweet. Why? Well, we want to stay bullish all the way up into the end of this month, and quite a hectic month as well. And as we head into May, right? So middle of quarter 2, right? So with the S&P 500 ETF or ticker symbol SPY, we are finally seeing some light. Now, why do I say that? Well, first of all, I want to just take a look simply at my SMA. So let's hide the candlesticks here and my technical analysis. So my SMAs are finally making a very constructive curl back up higher, like my daily 10 SMA right over here. This is the daily 10. And this SMA is slowly getting closer and it's about to converge on top of my daily 21 SMA, which is slowly starting to flatten out. And that is good to see because that means we could have a potential daily bullish crossover of the 10 SMA over the daily 21 SMA. And that's great, right? Because that means the short-term trend and perspective should be very bullish. And if you bring back the price action here in the candlesticks and my technical analysis, we have begun to do that because last Friday we made a higher high compared to the previous pivot high points, like right over here on April 14th, and a major day for the markets on April 9th. And so we are finally out of this huge range that we've made for most of April here. And so that means there's a possibility for the markets to continue to make higher highs and higher lows and possibly even retest the previous highs as well. And if you take a look back at this area here, so around, well, I would say mid to late March, okay? This is where we got most of our, tariffs, right? The tariff news where headlines were constantly talking about tariffs and what Donald Trump was saying. And this brought quite a lot of volatility back and forth, upside and to the downside. And so if we're able to come back to this range and possibly retest major resistance levels like 565 as shown here, or even the maximum range that I'm looking to see for a possible retest as we're moving to the upside, 574.50, then there's a very good chance that the markets can slowly begin to recover from this entire correctional move down for the mid to longer term. Okay, now again, this all comes down to all the nuances with the current tariff market environment and the current trade war, obviously. So whatever I say now regarding the mid to long term perspectives, they can change, right? They can definitely change in this week alone, or even next week, or even the next month, right? So, but based on the technical analysis that we have now and based on the data that we have now, it seems like we're wanting to move up higher, and possibly earlier this week, this trading week, we can get this daily crossover, this bullish crossover of the daily 10 SMA over the daily 21 SMA. Now, what's interesting about this crossover is that across multiple leading groups, like in software and semiconductor stocks, we are already seeing the daily 10 SMA crossing over its respective, or their respective, daily 21 SMAs. So if the leading groups have done that, well, that means the S&P 500, the benchmark market, will most definitely do that as well. Now, obviously, that does not mean that we're going to go straight up in the line and vertically to the upside, but rather a more controlled move to the upside will be a lot better this week, so that allows time to do its thing and allow the daily 10 SMA to slowly cross over the daily 21 SMA, which will eventually allow the daily 50 SMA, this dark blue line, to come back down. And why is that important? Well, because we haven't retested it since we lost it back in February of this year, right? So this will be a huge retest, and well, hopefully, ideally, we retest this daily 50 SMA by the end of this week. And depending on how we react off of it, we will be seeing whether or not we'll make a lower high pivot point compared to this previous pivot high point right over here, okay? Or based on how we react off of it, and maybe we might have a very nice, very quick move over the daily 50 SMA to retest maybe 565 as seen here. There's a good chance that we can actually start to tighten up around this daily 50 SMA, maybe even slightly under it, allowing more bullish tension to build up for a possible second leg up higher over to 574.50. And again, this level was a major level of support when we were looking at this downtrend, and when we were in this downtrend actually, and it was part of the 3 profit targets that I've had back in January and February to the downside. And again, the 3 profit targets were 600, 585, and this 574.50. So that means we'll be retesting a major area of supply as well. And on top of that, we have the daily 200 SMA starting to slowly decline lower, but it is now starting to flatline because prices are starting to move back up higher. And it will most likely continue to flatline if and only if the price decides to consolidate and tighten up right around this daily 50 SMA after initially retesting it as well. Okay, so hopefully that made sense there. Now, lastly, okay, I wouldn't be mad if we have a small pullback early this week, so maybe even tomorrow, where we end slightly red, maybe underneath this 549.50 level that I've had for a long time now. And if that occurs, then that could provide us even more opportunities to buy into longer term positions on certain names that have been holding up fairly well. And again, I've given you guys a watch list of relatively strong names and other names that have a very, very good momentum to the upside already. And so please go ahead and take a look at that in the report itself. And again, if you guys are watching this TA video first without reading the entire report, please pause this video and go back to the report first. All right, so with that being said, let's take a look at the first and final swing trade idea for this week, Google, okay, or Alphabet Incorporated. So we're gonna first start off with the weekly time frame. Why? Well, the weekly time frame is very important because a lot of the leading stocks like Google are actually showing pretty good weekly candlesticks from last week. And so Google here is showing a very nice bullish engulfing candlestick as the entire candlesticks range has completely engulfed the previous weekly candlesticks range from the highs to the lows. And that's a very, very good sign. Now, on top of that, this kind of bottoming out price action that we've been seeing for the past 4 weeks here, including last week, has been over and has been staying over the weekly 200 SMA, which is closely following behind. Now, at some point, I do believe that we will be seeing a retest of the weekly 200 SMA, but that's something that I will mention months down the line, depending on how we move the next couple of weeks and months, right? So with Google here, I really love the fact that we're able to come back over the weekly 10 SMA here. And obviously the weekly 10 SMA is still curling down, and the weekly 21 SMA as well, it has still yet to catch up to the price. So there is a good chance that we can actually see the price moving erratically higher and with a lot of velocity as well to catch up and retest with the weekly 21 SMA as well. So that will be the more ideal price action, where we see the price actually moving up to retest with the weekly 10 and 21 SMAs like it just did with the weekly 10. But if the other situation occurs where the price just continues to move sideways, or maybe it begins to move lower, that means the weekly SMAs like the 21 here will start to curl down to catch up to the price. And we don't want to see that, right? We want to see the price actively making an effort to go back to the weekly 21 SMA instead of waiting for the weekly 21 SMA to catch up with the price by curling downward, right? So again, last week, very, very good volume, obviously due to earnings as well. But overall, the market action has allowed Google to continue to recover back to the highs from the April lows of 140.53 as seen here on this weekly candlestick. And again, this retest of the weekly 10 SMA here, and obviously an attempt to break over it, is definitely a great sign. Now, if you go back on the daily time frame, this is where things get very interesting, right? So Google can potentially be a tariff-proof name, but again, based on what I've told you guys in the report with the overall top-down analysis, you guys should understand there are nuances to that, so please read the entire research done on Google provided in the report. So Google here has held this 161 daily resistance level as a new level of support from last Friday's price action. And again, this was a reaction to its earnings report. And again, it was a very nice gap up, and fortunately it was able to at least close over 1% on the day, specifically 1.68%. And so with this gap up higher, and including last Thursday's price action, Google was actually able to achieve that daily bullish crossover of the daily 10 SMA over the daily 21 SMA. So this provides a lot more bullish confirmation for the short-term price trend. And again, this 161 level comes back in our view again, because if this bullish crossover is to hold, we need the price to hold this 161 resistance level as a new level of support from here on out, rather than breaking below 161 and trying to completely fill in this gap up that we had from its earnings reaction. But a little caveat, okay, or I guess not even a caveat, but if I wanted the price to have some room to move, all right, I wouldn't mind a small gap close here where the gap up is completely filled, and because, well, we do have another gap up here, right, that we've completely forgotten about, and we have continued to push up higher. So if we did fill in this gap up, it would just only be one out of the two gaps that we've had so far. Right? So again, don't fret, don't be frightened if the price decides to move back down below 161 here and then fill out the rest of this gap up area, because again, we already have two gap ups, and as long as the first gap up here is not filled in, then we are good, right? And now, based on last Friday's price action, I love the fact that we were able to come up to retest the daily 50 SMA as well. And this is a proper reaction where we had a very brief, quick reactionary move to the upside over the daily 50 SMA before coming back down. And this is very good because it'll be a great opportunity for bulls to defend this 161 level and tighten up underneath this daily 50 SMA and potentially give us a very nice Momo bull flag, or a momentum-filled bull flag, maybe a bull pennant, so something that could possibly look like this. Okay, let me just draw this very quickly, right? Where it constantly gets tighter and tighter as it consolidates between this 161 whole number level and this gap up area and this declining daily 50 SMA. All right, and that'll provide enough bullish tension and energy to develop for an official breakout higher and reversal higher towards 170 and eventually a retest of its daily 200 SMA. So basically, the daily time frame is very similar to what I've described here on SPY on the S&P 500, and that should be a no-brainer as the reasons why, because well, Google is a mega cap tech stock which closely follows what the markets do overall, the benchmark market, which is the S&P 500. So, with that in mind, Google has also seen a death cross, right? And this death cross of the daily 50 SMA crossing below the 200 SMA is usually a very, very lagging indicator. Okay, and I've given you guys the reasons why that is. So please go read the complete top-down analysis that I provided for you all on Google in this week's CFO Swinger Watch Report. All right, so with that being said, all the option contracts that we need to be looking at to trade this ticker is in the report, and the entire 3-point game plan for equity traders are also provided in the report itself. All right, so that is it for this video. If this technical analysis video was very insightful, but most importantly, applicable, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you're new here and you aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. And also, if you're watching this video when it just became public and you would like to watch this video a day earlier when it's private, the only thing that you need to do is become one of the many readers of the CFO Swinger Watch Report, which will automatically give you complete full access to the private CFO Discord community as well, where you can expedite and further your learning in trading. Okay, so good luck, and I'll see you all tomorrow morning.